One Zambia, One Nation, and thanks for joining us on Zanis News. To present, my name is Juliet Mdele. Top stories in the news tonight. US VIP calls for innovation in fight against climate change. Chinga Expo preps heighten. Over 300 families in Nsumbu area displaced due to flooding. Plus 9 bodies from the Chiluri boat accident retrieved from Lake Bangladesh. The news in detail. Visiting United States President Kamala Harris says there is need to invest in innovation if the impact of climate change is to be mitigated. Mrs. Harris said the advent of climate change poses a huge threat to water and food security. She said communities should be encouraged to adopt smart agriculture technologies in a bid to overcome the impact of climate change. Details in this report by Lakson Makoza.
Visiting United States of America, Vice President Kamala Harris has praised Panuka Farm for engaging in smart agriculture. Speaking to journalists shortly after a conducted tour of Panuka Farm in the Mungure area, Mrs. Harris pointed out that smart farming is one of the solutions to combating the impact of climate change. She noted that the climate crisis poses a huge challenge to food security globally. Mrs. Harris said the Panuka Farm model of smart farming should be replicated to other countries.
This trip, you are correct, Bruno, has been about highlighting innovation, highlighting the ingenuity that exists on this continent that is benefiting the world and can be a model, in particular about smart farming, smart agriculture. You talk about being climate proof, which is, we talk sometimes about weather proof. Bruno talks about climate proof, which is in essence what we refer to as resilience, what we must do to adapt to these changing climate conditions. And so the work here is an example of what we want to encourage more.
Meanwhile, the United States says it will continue to support and expand investment in climate adaptation.
The United States will continue to support and expand this work. Some examples of the work we are doing to that end here on the continent includes helping to improve climate modeling, weather forecast, and to build new weather stations. We, through that work, know that we can then help farmers decide where to plant their crops, when to plant their crops, how to predict the upcoming growing season in a way they plant crops that are resilient to or can adapt to whatever that climate might be predicted to be. In this way, we can also help communities prepare for storms, prepare for drought, prepare for floods.
And speaking earlier, Panuka Farm Chief Executive Officer Bruno Mwemba commended Mrs. Harris for championing the promotion of sustainable agriculture.
The climate crisis is a direct threat to food security, and I'm proud of the work that we are doing, here at Panuka Farm to address that with the team here. And I must also indicate that I'm very proud of you, Vice President. The focus on sustainable agriculture, to address food security. I actually tracked, I think, all your speeches from Ghana to Tanzania, and I could actually hear that resonance around, sustainable agriculture, which is.
Mrs. Harris' visit to Panuka Farm was aimed at highlighting the importance of innovation and ingenuity in addressing the impact of climate change. Meanwhile, business came to a standstill as scores of residents lined up along the Lusaka-Kawe Road as they attempted to have a glimpse of the U.S. Vice President. For Zanis, I'm Lakson Makoza.
Meanwhile, United States Vice President Kamala Harris has called on the business and philanthropic leaders to make direct investments and social impact commitments in support of digital transformation with Africa initiative that was launched by President Joe Biden at the Africa Leaders Summit last year. Mrs. Harris explained that this is an effort to promote digital inclusion, especially among women and youth across the African continent. Mrs. Harris stressed the need to explore ways towards the expansion of access to digital services which would drive development across sectors and demographics. Speaking when she met business and philanthropic leaders in Lusaka today, the American vice president says she envisions African ideas and innovations to be the ones shaping the future of the world. She thus retaliated the need to invest in African ingenuity and creativity, which will unlock incredible economic growth and opportunities.
There is a strong desire from leaders on this continent, from young entrepreneurs on this continent, to increase investments on this continent. My visit has convinced me more than ever that we must all, around the globe, appreciate and understand the importance of investing in African ingenuity and creativity, the type I have seen during the course of this trip, the type that many of you at this table know and lead. And to do so, I'm convinced, will continue to unlock the incredible economic growth and opportunities that we have seen thus far to the benefit of the entire world. To help achieve these goals, I believe in the strength of public-private partnerships. Over the last decade, Africa has continued growth in its digital infrastructure. Examples include innovative mobile phone payment systems in Kenya, fintech in Nigeria, and the delivery of health supplies by a drone in Ghana that has been replicated in the United States. All to say, there are places on the continent of Africa that are leading the world in digital solutions. Yet, in other places on the continent, we see that there is a lag and that there are many who lag behind. And we must be clear about the challenges presented to close these gaps and then commit to take action, because solutions are within sight and within reach. So to address this, last December at the U.S.-Africa Leaders Summit, President Joe Biden launched the Digital Transformation with Africa initiative.
And United States Vice President Kamala Harris has concluded her visit to Zambia after holding various engagements of mutual interest. Mrs. Harris visited Zambia as part of her long week tour to Africa after visiting Ghana, Tanzania respectively. Well, in Zambia, the U.S. Vice President announced support worth over $16 million towards Zambia's programs. Mrs. Harris observed that President Hakainde Hichilema has put in place measures to strengthen Zambia's economic transformation. She also visited the National Assembly, where the foundation stone laid by Princess Royal and Countess of Harewood, Mary, on October 26, 1964, is located. Earlier today, Mrs. Harris visited Panuka Farms, a farm practicing climate-proofed smart agriculture in Chiwombo district, before proceeding back to Lusaka, where she graced a closed-door business meeting with business and philanthropic leaders. The U.S. Vice President has since left Zambia for the United States. We continue with the news. The Ministry of Information and Media Permanent Secretary Kennedy Kalunga has challenged journalists in the country to embrace specialized reporting. Mr. Kalunga said most journalists work as general players who are assigned to cover any issues ranging from politics, agriculture, and sports, among others. The Permanent Secretary said this during a media awards ceremony on climate, social accountability, and agroecology, organized by Pelham Zambia in partnership with other cooperating partners. Jens Malumba has the details.
Pelham Zambia, in partnership with its cooperating partners, last evening held a media awards ceremony on climate, social accountability, and agroecology. Journalists from different media houses were awarded for their relentless efforts and reports on issues to do with climate change. Mshota Mpundu of the Zambia National Broadcasting Corporation, ZNBC, scooped the first prize television category on social accountability, while ZNBC's Hector Simfukwe scooped the second prize in the same category. Mwakoi Njekwa, also from ZNBC, scooped the first prize television category on climate change. Godfrey Chikumbi of the Zambia News and Information Services, Zanis, scooped the first prize in television category on agroecology, while Linda Mupemo Also from Zanis, scooped 2 awards, both second prizes in different categories. Ministry of Information and Media Permanent Secretary Kennedy Kalunga graced the ceremony with a call on journalists to embrace specialized reporting, especially on climate change issues.
Analyzing the media in our country, however, shows that if it faces a range of limitations to report on climate change issues effectively. One of the challenges is lack of specialization in climate change reporting, with most of the reporters working as general players who are designed to cover any or other issue ranging from politics, economy, agriculture to sports. As a result, their stories are not well researched and therefore lack depth.
Muketoi Wamunyima is the country coordinator for Pelham Zambia and sheds more light on the awards.
These media awards are a pursuit of excellence, an opportunity for us as media to enhance your understanding and reporting on very critical issues that are affecting us. Our food system, climate change, and social accountability, when addressed well, have the potential to unlock the social, economic, and environment development of our country.
Veteran journalist Frank Mutubila was one of the judges and called on the journalists to do more research-based stories.
We need to do more research. We need to go online and find the material, and also, get information from diverse, resources.
Journalists from newspapers, radio, and online were also awarded in different categories. Jane Simalumba Zanis in Lusaka.
Meanwhile, in Northern Province, over 300 families in Sumbu area of Nsama district have been displaced after their houses collapsed due to flooding. This follows heavy rains experienced in Chisala, Kawelwa, and Mwando villages that caused River Chisala to burst its banks. And Nsama Town Council Chairperson David Siame has expressed fear that more families are likely to be affected with the floods. Here are the details.
They have been temporarily camped at Nsumbu Mini Hospital in Nsama district following the collapsing of their houses due to floods. These are part of the over 300 families who have been forced to leave their homes due to the floods. Northern Province Permanent Secretary Bernard Mpundu has since visited the 3 most affected villages in Nsumbu to check on the extent of the damage.
We are concerned as government and we sympathize with the situation here. We brought some few tents. We're going to give them. We've also brought them some rice and a bit of meal. We're going to distribute to those who are mostly affected. But I've also talked to the council chairperson and the DAO's office to ensure that those who be given the tents should not go to build in the same plots where they were, affected by the flood, but to go and build somewhere where it is higher.
And the local authority in Nsama has implored flood victims to relocate to more secure places.
We are appealing to people to move out of that area because it's very near to the river and the lake. And by them staying there, again, even next year, we'll have the same problem.
Meanwhile, the victims expressed gratitude to government for coming to their aid. For Zanis News in Nsama District, I am Patrick Kabwe.
Meanwhile, Mazabuka District Commissioner Oliver Mlomba says fish farming should not be seen as a venture for poor people as it is a profitable business. Speaking when he officiated at a fish harvesting exercise for Nachipoma Fish Farmers Cooperative in Mazabuka, Mr. Mlomba said fish farming is a lucrative business. Here is a report.
This is a special occasion for Nachipoma Fish Farmers Cooperative. Their fingerlings have matured into this fish which is ready to be sold on the local market. With technical and material support from Solidaridad and Ecofish, they are expecting to harvest about 3,000 fish from these 2 fish ponds.
So economically, actually, this cooperative has changed the face of this area. Women, they spend most of the time here. Why? Because they get something at the end of the day. We have also the youth who actually involved in the same. So it's a very, very viable project, and I can encourage people out there to venture into this business.
To the community in so many ways, such as they feel they need to employ other people, because as you can see there are so many fish ponds here. So it creates job and it helps to change their economy.
Mazabuka District Commissioner Oliver Mulomba graced the event and was the first customer for the cooperative.
To Nachipoma Fishing Cooperative today, and I'm buying at least for 200. Fish farming previously was being looked down upon as a project for poor people, or for people who don't have anything to do in life. But this time around, things have changed. It is one of the biggest ventures you can undertake in life. And once you go into fish farming, you are sure of harvesting.
Mr. Mulomba also made this appeal.
I'm therefore appealing to our district coordinator to ensure that all fish farmers in the district are all connected to market. Because if we fail to connect them to market as government, we shall be discouraging them.
Angela Mandu, Zanis, Mazabuka District, Southern Province.
Muchinga Province Permanent Secretary Henry Mukungule has announced that the Muchinga Investment Forum and Expo slated for October this year will be held in Chinsali District. Mr. Mukungule disclosed the development during the monthly Expo update meeting. He said despite the fact that Chinsali has limited facilities under the hospitality industry, the district has been chosen to host the Expo in order to foster development in the area. Miriam Kumwenda gives us the details.
In ensuring that the Muchinga Investment Forum and Expo is held successfully, the provincial administration and key stakeholders have embarked on a number of activities, among them engagement meetings to chart the way forward. Muchinga Province Permanent Secretary Henry Mukungule, who announced the venue for this important event for the province, says there is need for collaborative efforts.
Don't underrate the contribution that you can make in your sector, in your various ways. We need that contribution because no single person can handle this one alone. We need all these brains. You've seen what has come out today, a lot that will actually contribute towards making sure that we polish up on our preparations. The venue for the expo is going to be here in Chinsali.
During the meeting, several subcommittees updated the House on some activities done and those to be done.
We also need the physical assessment of airfields in the whole province. This is to ascertain the serviceability state.
So this expo depends on the collaboration and commitment from all of us, both in the public and private sectors. We are glad today we received people from the various banks, and we hope that this commitment will move forward so that we have a successful event.
Mr. Mukungule, during the same meeting, also sounded a warning to officers that shun government meetings of stern action.
It is mandatory that they attend these meetings because we need a lot of information from them. If they stay away, they will deny us that information that we need from them. And if they continue doing what they are doing, that is going to attract punitive measures.
Muchinga Province will this year in October from 3rd to 8th hold its Investment Forum and Expo in Chinsali District. Miriam Kumwenda reporting for Zanis in Chinsali, Muchinga Province.
Choma District Administrative Officer Hope Chiposo has commended Choma Museum for extending museum services to the church by hosting the first ever Gospel Music Festival under the theme How Great Thou Art. Officiating at the Gospel Music Festival, Mrs. Chiposo said Palm Sunday and Easter offers opportunities to the church to showcase a variety of languages in their music ministry to residents and tourists. Gift Manji now reports.
As Christians are preparing for Palm Sunday and Easter, Choma Museum held a gospel musical festival for the first time ever of this kind, delighting fans with a unique concert sound. This gospel musical festive provided an opportunity for church choirs not only to share the good news of our Lord Jesus Christ, but also accumulate awards. Government is determined to make this gospel festival during Easter period a provincial event.
I wish to commend the Choma Museum management for extending museum services to the church. I have been made aware that this is the first time that such an event is taking place at the museum under the theme, How Great Thou Art. We are just fulfilling the One Zambia, One Nation. We mix, we listen to other churches' music. Moreover, we are all praising the same God, right? Yes, which is very, very good. So let's come in numbers, come 2024. And we want this to be bigger.
Stakeholders want this festival to be an annual event.
Let me be quick to say that this event is not so much for the museum, but it is for you, the choirs. We would like you to take charge of this special event where every Easter you should be coming at the museum to celebrate God and what He has created that form the backbone of what makes tourism tick in Zambia, such as the people of Zambia themselves who have been blessed with not one, but 73 different ethnic groups and languages.
We are so happy and even to meet our friends from UCZ, from RCZ, from SDA. Kwamulu magapati bana SDA kama tulimu tinyuta musangani maningi inamwani mwatuto ni hakuchawe pe mulaswanga na bantu kwa magapati.
St. Mary's Choir of the Catholic Church in Choma, Seventh-day Adventist Church Choir of Batoka, St. Stephen Church Choir of the United Church of Zambia, and Reformed Church in Zambia Church Choir took turns to bless the residents with Christian melodies. Gift Banji, reporting for Zanis News in Choma District, Southern Province.
The Barotero establishment has cancelled the 2023 Komboka traditional ceremony of the Lozi-speaking people. The traditional ceremony has been cancelled due to the recent bereavement of two senior traditional leaders in the province. Speaking at a media briefing at Kuta Barotse establishment, Prime Minister Ngambela Manyando Mukela announced that traditionally it is impossible to hold the Komboka ceremony because of the funeral of Chief Amukena Makweti Itseketo of Nkehema, Luampa and Kauma districts, who passed on December 2022, and Senior Mbonjikana Kandundu Yeta of Kalabo and Sikongo districts, who passed on February 2023. Sifue Mwangala now reports.
When the Balosa plains are flooded, it brings joy to the Lozi people of Western Province. This is because the scenario signifies the preparations of the Komboka traditional ceremony, where the king, Litunga Lubosi Imwiko II, migrates from his Lialui Winter Palace in the lower land to the Limulunga Samawan in the upper land. Unfortunately for this year, the traditional ceremony will not take place due to the recent bereavement of two senior traditional leaders in the province. The Barosero establishment in Ngambela, Manyando Mukela, disclosed the cancellation in a media briefing that was held at the Kuta in the Mulunga Royal Village.
In a span of 2 months, we lost our leaders, our traditional leaders, and this period also meant we had to stand still to give time for the rights and procedures that go with a royal bereavement. And now, as we were waiting, our water situation also became a bit precarious. The water levels started to recede to the level we are now. Because of that, the Kuta reached a very painful decision that this year we shall have no Komboka ceremony. It is not really a fault of our own, but it is a matter that is beyond our control. Our tradition calls for this action.
Meanwhile, the cancellation of the Komboka ceremony has saddened the business community in the province.
Kwamana mkiti wa Komboka au vangateni nge mali business wakona kufumana nga watenika kashereni
kutamumana wa wanyani ngikati pasi muri zama ya gate business tushupa ene kabateni kambero fumani sese.
Sifwe Mwangala reporting for Zanis News in Imulunga District, Western Province.
Kwacha Member of Parliament Charles Mlenga has observed that skills development is a critical tool in eradicating poverty and unemployment. Mr. Mlenga has since reiterated government's commitment to provision of skills development and quality education. Speaking in Kitwe when he graced the second graduation ceremony for Edinburgh University, a private university, Mr. Mlenga said government will continue investing in the provision of quality education.
Private tertiary education institutions have continued complementing government in providing skills training. This is helping to increase the country's labor force in various professions needed to steer social and economic development. Edinburgh University in Kitwe has offloaded 6 non-graduates at a call-off ceremony graced by Kwacha Member of Parliament Charles Mlenga.
What we are witnessing today is a true reflection of the commitment by the new born government to provide skills to as many people as possible. Skills development, if well handled, plays a pivotal role in accelerating poverty reduction, promoting of human development and creation of sustainable employment, leading to over economic boom.
And University Chancellor Dr. Frank Mukonde has called for embracement of technology and innovation to promote economic development.
What the country needs now are people who are able to learn, to adapt to change, and to persuade others to do the same. People who can live up to the true meaning of our theme for this second graduation: educational transformation, innovation, and growth through technology.
University Vice Chancellor Dr. Evans Chungu is confident of the caliber of the graduates.
Is what will make the difference between today and tomorrow, if the future is to be better than the present. Therefore, there is no single organization in the world not searching for innovative ways to improve its productivity, sustainability, efficiency in the delivery of services. So the theme provides the university to produce graduates who are not imitators of other people's ideas or thoughts, but inventors of technological ideas and new things.
This increasing number of graduates calls for government to create more employment opportunities and to also enhance empowerment initiatives for some graduates to go into entrepreneurship. Liz Ngobeka reporting for Zanis in Kitwe.
9 bodies from the Chilubi boat accident have been retrieved from Lake Bangweulu. Northern Province Commanding Officer Gloria Mulele says the search for the other missing persons has continued. Meanwhile, government has also engaged the Marine Unit of the Zambia Army to help in the search of the missing persons. Northern Province Permanent Secretary Bernard Mpundu told Zanis today that government is doing everything possible to ensure that the missing persons are recovered, and Chilubi District Administrative Officer Deldin Lupasha says the number of people who were on the boat has now been established to be 44. Mr. Lupasha added that there is a total of 30 survivors and 14 missing persons. Yesterday, a boat accident on Lake Bangweulu caused the drowning of about 10 people who are youths from the Seventh-day Adventist Church. An 11-year-old boy of Katekele village in Chibombo district has committed suicide by hanging himself to a tree using a tie. Both Kembe Ward Councillor Gift Mwenda and the father to the deceased, Richard Musonda, have confirmed to Zanis that the incident happened on Thursday afternoon. Mr. Msonda said his son, identified as Benjamin Msonda, committed suicide in the bush as he was going to help his siblings to herd the family cattle. He narrated that the deceased, who is also a grade 3 pupil at Shiela Primary School, was sent to go and take over the herding of cattle from his siblings who needed to return home for lunch. Mr. Msonda explained that the family started searching for the deceased later in the afternoon when they realized that he did not meet up with his siblings. He said the body of his son was later discovered hanging on a tree around 16 hours on the same day he went missing. As we end the news, we take a look at the stories that made headlines. US VIP calls for innovation in fight against climate change. Muchinga Expo preps heighten. Over 300 families in Sumbu area displaced due to flooding. Plus 9 bodies from the Chilubi boat accident retrieved from Lake Bangalore. Thank you so much for your time. My name is Juliet Mutale, and on behalf of the entire Zanis production team, remember that we are one Zambia, one nation. Bye-bye.